What's up guys, welcome to Blake's Garage. Today I'm doing an Audi S3 video. I know I haven't done any videos on this car in quite some time, but I thought I would do, well, kind of an overview, a walk around of what all is done to the car, and then give you guys an idea of what the good, the bad, and the ugly of the car is. 2017 Audi S3. We've had it about 3 years now. It's 2020, so that makes sense, right? There's been quite a few modifications done to the car. The car does have the facelift. It is a black optics dynamics package car, meaning it has all the blacked out trim and the blacked out grille, which is something that you're gonna want in my opinion. I did put a front lip on the car. That was a Method Effects lip. I can't remember if that company's still in business, but they were for quite some time, and they made a really high quality lip. As far as this lip goes, it has survived everywhere except for right here. I think my wife hit something at one point in time, but you know what? It did very, very well. It's made of ABS and it's very strong. I know I've scraped it quite a few times going into driveways and things like that. Suspension mods on the vehicle. Let me tell you what we got. And I'm actually I grabbed a list because I've actually done a lot of mods to the car. And I figured instead of just telling you what they are, it might be a good idea to tell you what they are and the price. So something that made a huge difference on the car was a rear subframe lockdown kit. Now those are these little guys right here, $137. They basically insert into the rear subframe bushings underneath the car, and that really helps stiffen up the rear end of the car. The rear end kind of has like this little bit of sway to it, almost like when you turn in, like it settles in after the fact. So putting those on the car made a huge difference, and I would definitely recommend that upgrade if you have an A3 or an S3. Another inexpensive modification, but a modification that's well worth it, is the $42 dog bone lower insert into the bottom of the motor mounts in the car. So basically the car has, you know, some pretty, I would say, sloppy factory motor mounts, as most cars do, and when your car is making a bit more power, the engine will tend to flex a lot more and you can have issues. That took out a lot of the play in the accelerator, if you will. Basically when you stepped on the gas, you know, it felt a lot more direct and all that sort of stuff, which is really nice. It also made the shifts a little more firm and that sort of thing. Another huge one on suspension upgrades, the rear sway bar. That made a huge difference in the handling characteristics of the car. When I put that rear sway bar on, it actually made it to where on track the car could oversteer.
That was fun though. Use all the grip. Woo.
Now it was mostly a lift-off oversteer situation. If you are on power, it wasn't a huge oversteer situation, but it did make the handling characteristics of the car much more lively and much more fun. I've done multiple track days in this car, been to Laguna Seca, I think 2 times in this car, and Thunderhill 2, maybe 3 times in the car, and also quite a few autocross days. The car did really well. One thing that I have to say is it passed the Blake's Destroys Everything challenge. I have not blown up the car, probably shouldn't say that because I still own the car, but yeah, I have not broken anything mechanical on this car, which is like amazing. I had a Subaru WRX before and went through like 2 motors in 45,000 miles, so yeah. Anyways, this car has been super, super reliable and that sort of thing. And I will get to what has broken on the car. We'll go over that, or you know, what's had issues, but let's keep on going. The other things I did put on the car are the dynamic camber mounts, $345 for those, coil spring sleeves and coil springs. So I did put lowering springs on the car. The little sleeves actually helped dampen the springs. The springs made a little bit of noise when I put them on the car. Worked with 034 Motorsports, let them know. and they actually resolved that issue. Well, I thought I had everything on this list here, but it looks like I actually left off these springs, which I was going to talk about because I wanted a full total price. But I think the springs are about $300 or something along those lines. The ride height has been great. I think that it looks very good. I never put spacers on the car. I could have gone more aggressive with these aftermarket wheels. I didn't because I knew I was going to track the car and I didn't want any issues. I didn't really want to roll the fenders or anything like that, but you could go more aggressive on these. Just have Michelin P4S tires, 235 35R19s, same as the stock size. I used to track the car with NTO1s with the stock wheels, which I am gonna throw back on the car. Also, probably be selling a lot of parts on this car soon, so what's that mean? Yeah, you know what that means. As far as engine modifications go to the car, I'll just kind of pop the hood real quick. Oh, also guys, if you're wondering, like, well, I haven't seen any of these videos about any of these things. I've done videos on each and every one of these things, and I actually did install videos on every single one of these items as well. So if you're wondering what it's all about, I actually did review videos on them too. So I'll link a little playlist down below. That way you guys can click that. 034 carbon fiber intake. That runs you $660 for that. The turbo noises from that are well worth it. I think that it just really changes the way the car sounds. And believe it or not, it actually makes the exhaust tone louder, which is very interesting. The cold air intake will actually make your exhaust louder, and it makes those little DSG farts that much louder and that more pungent, which is kind of cool. Okay, so the other thing you can see over here is the 034 Motorsports downpipe right there. So it is stage 2. It does have the stage 2 software, and it has a DSG tune on it as well. When I did the DSG tune, that actually opened up the torque on the mapping and made the car actually have more torque. That's something I think a lot of people don't realize. If you just do a stage 2 and you don't unlock the transmission, you're not going to get as much torque out of the car because it limits that through the ECU capabilities. Also, you have a number of launches with launch control, and if you don't unlock that, you can actually cancel out your launch control to where it doesn't work anymore. So something that's kind of interesting. All the modifications are right around $5,500 that I put into the vehicle. So if that kind of gives you an idea of what it costs to do something like this, it's right around $5,500 bucks. And I love the way this thing looks. It just looks so classy. It looks very, very nice. It's just a damn good looking car. And yeah, I've honestly really loved the looks of it, and it's great to drive. It's very zippy and pretty quick. All right, so having this car for 3 years, I want to tell you the bad things about the car. I think everybody wants to know that. So a couple things I'll just point out real quick, and I'll just kind of talk about is the quality, the build quality of the car. Definitely better than a Subaru or anything like that. However, there are still rattles. It's probably due to the suspension and stuff that I put on the car. This thing always goes forward. You know, I talked about that before, but it's always like back here. You got to put it like that. Who cares? This area though, listen. Do you hear that little aftermath? Anyways, something's been rattling up there and it's super annoying. So the car does have a couple rattles. This car does have a very nice looking interior. It's very cool, it's very clean. You know, it just has a really good aesthetic. But rattles have been something. This door, or should I say, this window right here, which is a common VW thing, and this is very easy to fix with some lube, makes a bit of noise. And I just washed the car, so yes, I just destroyed the glass. I'm gonna need to clean that, but it does make a little bit of noise right there. One of the big things that I really disliked about the car is the brakes. So on track, I know this isn't gonna be everybody, just driving around town. If you drive around town, you're not gonna track your car, you're not gonna drive it hard. Don't worry about this, disregard, you're probably totally fine. But I tracked the car and I turned the calipers black and I melted all the paint off and that sort of thing. Literally every time I went to Laguna, my brakes would be destroyed, and I was running track pads And last time I went to Laguna, I got 2 sessions and literally my pads were gone. Now, that main reason for that is the torque vectoring system on this car. It uses the ABS when you have traction control off or when you have traction control on, kind of just depending, kind of as a differential, right? Because this car doesn't have nice differentials. It has the Haldex system, and it's not the typical Quattro system. It's not the real Quattro system, I should say. It's not mechanical or any of that. So that is one of the disadvantages of this car compared to an S4. With the S4, you can get the center differential that's, you know, better and all that stuff, higher performance, and you know, that's something to keep in mind. So that's one difference in performance. If you want a real good performance car, this thing's great, but the S4 may be a little bit better for you just because of those things. This car tends to be more of a front-wheel drive bias, where some of the other Audis, well, actually all the Audis, are more of an actual full Quattro all-wheel drive system. The other things I've had issues with, being that it was stage 2 and all of that, only one thing has broken on the car, and it didn't really break, but the bolt to the downpipe V-band that clamped around the V-band, it came out. Car made a bunch of noise. I had to buy a $10 bolt. Woohoo. That's all that's gone bad there. Trying to think if anything else has had issue. And no, okay, wait. 2 things. I've had to top the coolant off twice. One time when I was in high elevation, and the only reason why is it went down a little bit in the reservoir, like this much. That wasn't a tune thing, that was nothing, that was back when the car was stock. Apparently when these things come off the factory lot, sometimes they had a little bit of an air bubble in them, and you'd have to top the car off with some deionized water or, you know, some actual pink coolant and that sort of thing. So other than that, the only disadvantage to stage 2 that we did not like, my wife and I, this has the, you know, 6-speed DSG, or what is it? Yeah, 6-speed DSG dual clutch transmission, which is great as far as shifting goes, but the 2017 only had 6 speeds, 5 plus 6, whereas the 2018s had 7 speeds. This car with the 034 Motorsports downpipe and stage 2 with the resonator delete, it's a bit noisy on the freeway. It is too high in the rev range. It's right around like 3,000 RPM or like 3,200 RPM at 80. And just as an example, I know it's a totally different car, but my M4 at 80 with a 7-speed DCT is like 2,300 RPM. So being that it's a German car, you know, I would think that they would set it up a little bit better to do high speeds. Like, in my opinion, I should be able to cruise at 100 miles an hour. I know that's not a speed limit, but, you know, I should be able to get 25 miles to the gallon at 100 miles an hour. That sounds good to me. So the good is the car is all-wheel drive. Sounds great, super zippy, it's small. It, you know, it has a nice compact size, just like the old B5 Audis, so that is really great. That's something that's very nice. It's nice and compact, classy. You know, it's a good sounding car. The car sounds good. Let me give you guys some exhaust clips. Okay, so it sounds pretty dang good, you know, as far as that goes. It has a different tone. It's kind of tractory. You guys can make up your own decisions. Drop down in the comments what you guys think about the car. Please comment down below because it does help the video do a ton better, as I haven't gotten a ton of comments lately and the videos have been suffering because of that. So if you guys can put something down there, that would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, it's been great. It's been a really good little car. If I could do anything else to the car, I would have definitely tinted the windows. I say would have because I think it's about time to get another car, guys. Pretty shortly here, the car is gonna start going back to stock, so I will have parts for sale and that sort of stuff on my Instagram, so check me out at Blake's Garage. Follow me there if you guys have not. Got a bunch of other content going on as well. I know you guys really like the S3 videos, so you know, I just kind of wanted to go over the car some more and just kind of talk about, well, you know, how it's been. The good about it is it hasn't broken. It's been very reliable. It's a great looking car, and I didn't break it, which is a good test because I break like everything. I broke my M4, I broke the Subaru, I broke my old Mustang, I broke my mom's minivan, I broke my Ford Ranger, I broke multiple Ford Rangers, I don't know. I've broken everything. Always. It's a beat on stuff. So like I said, guys, comment down below if you guys have any questions. I'll be sure to answer those if you guys are thinking about getting one of these. If you are up in the air, should you get an Audi S3 or should you get an RS3? The answer to that is get an RS3. If you want something that's really quick, get an RS3. This car, I'd probably be more thinking about keeping it a little bit longer if it was an RS3, just because the 5-pot and that sort of thing, it's just so much more rad. It's so much more fast, and yeah, I mean, that's just a whole different beast of a car. It's kind of a different animal. I know it's the same interior, but the RS3 is pretty badass. So anyways, guys, I hope you liked the video. I've done videos on all these modifications, like I said, so I'll link those down below. I'll put hyperlinks to every single part that I have put on the car so you guys can know how much the pricing is on that. But just remember, all the mods on this car are right around $5,000, so not too shabby. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Later, and wrench on.